Sounds good. Well, hey, guess what?
What's happening?
We got a special guest today. This is Virgil.
What's happening, Virgil?
Hey, Virgil.
Happy to be here.
Virgil and I had dinner the other night. And
Okay.
Virgil's got it's not really it is a long story. And we'll get into it. But Virgil's a patient. He showed up at dinner the other night, and I didn't really know what was going on with Virgil. And what really impressed me, okay? I know I'd recognize his face. I know I'd recognize him because he reminds me of a smart man. He's on talk radio. He's Dr. Savage. He's a scientist. He's a commentator. And you got this, tough guy look that reminds me of Dr. Savage. And then so I recognized his face, but I didn't really know his story. And then right away, what really impressed me and really touched me is, Virgil just looked at me. He put his hands together in a prayer position, just bowed down and said, "Thank you, thank you," and just the gratitude that exuded from him to me. I knew he was not playing around. I knew there was a story, and I was very interested in hearing it. And when I heard it, I understand why he's so grateful, and I appreciate that gratitude. And we're going to talk about that today.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, we can't wait to hear it, Virgil.
Tell us a little bit about you, Virgil.
Retired Air Force. Been traveling around a bit since I retired. I'm not sure how much you want as far as personal background. I got a couple of master's degrees. I was a behavioral scientist and management analyst and a squadron commander for the Air Force. The hip started bothering me in 2009. I was on an assignment in Duluth, Minnesota in December, and it was 26 degrees below zero. And I tried to do some Christmas shopping while I was there, and walking from the parking lot to the mall, the hip just froze up. And it's been getting progressively worse since then.
So it's been over 10 years that you've been suffering with the hip problem.
And I first heard about the stem cell therapy probably 2016, 2017, and started doing research into it. But there were a couple of reasons that it wasn't I wasn't able to get it done at that point, and just started looking at it again recently. And I had gone to another provider back in November, and they took a look at the x-rays and said, "This is one of the worst hips we've ever seen, and we don't know how you're walking on it without a walker or some support. And the stem cell won't do anything for it. You should have come here a couple of years ago."
And that's somebody you saw locally here, correct? Or was that out of state?
That was in town here.
Okay.
And I wasn't quite happy with that diagnosis. I've learned over the years that if you're not happy with a diagnosis, go get a second opinion, because I do not question the competence of the doctors involved, but everybody has their own specialty, and everybody has their own perspective on it, and their perspective may not necessarily be yours. So I went over here in town to Par Physical Therapy, excellent place, and did about 4 months of physical therapy to try and loosen up the hip. And the physical therapy restored a lot of the range of motion to it, but it was still so sore that I was getting to the point of barely being able to walk on it. You may recall when I came to your first seminar, we ran into each other in the parking lot walking in, and I was just hobbling.
I think I remember that.
I did. We chatted a little bit as we walked into it, and I had already made up my mind at that point that I wanted to get it done. I just needed somebody that'd do it.
Tell me this: did you had you had it looked at any at all in the previous decade that it's been bothering you?
Yeah, I'd had it looked at on and off, and I'd tried chiropractic to try to relieve it. And it didn't seem to be doing much for it. And really, up until the last year, it was a whole lot more tolerable than it had been previously.
Gotcha.
So the deterioration was fairly gradual, and it just got to a point where I couldn't tolerate it anymore. It was preventing me from really being able to do much of anything.
So you couldn't get treated at one place. You went and did the physical therapy. It bettered your range of motion, but the pain was still there. The discomfort was still there. And then we met.
Yes.
So what happened after that? Because
I just wanted to get it done as quickly as I could.
Okay.
So your staff here was.
Tell me this real quick. What was the biggest thing that you learned when we had dinner and we were talking about the stem cell regenerative medicine?
Well, actually, it was really a lot of the same stuff that I had researched.
Okay.
Previously, I really did. Surgery should be the last option for anything. I really didn't want to get the surgery done. No matter how good they do the surgery, there's always damage that has to heal. There's always therapy, rehab that has to be done with it. And no matter how great a job they do with it, it's never going to be the same again. And I really believe in the body's ability to heal itself if it's given the proper tools to do it. And from everything that I'd read, that stem cell was exactly the tool that my hip needed to go ahead and heal itself.
Well, kudos to you for actually doing your research and understanding it. You already knew what you wanted to do. You just had to find someone that you trusted and who believed that it would help you.
Yeah, I was a behavioral scientist in the Air Force. I may not know medical stuff, but I understand statistics and such enough to be able to read the medical studies and understand them.
So, Virgil, let me ask you this. When you say
sir.
research, because when you talk to Dr. Scott and I about research, I mean, you're talking about years worth of time. You're a very smart man. How much time, when you say you did research it, how much time would you say that actually was? Some people say 15 minutes and they've researched it. Some people spend hours and hours. So how about you? How much time did you spend researching this procedure?
It didn't take me very long.
It doesn't, does it?
No, I looked up the different clinical studies online showing the results and the possible effects and all of that. And I probably read 10 or 15 articles, and all of them showed that it had a very high probability of having an excellent result.
It's interesting that all the research out there indicates in the same direction. There's very little controversy, and for us, most of the controversy is over which source works best for what disease state's being treated.
I found no negative research on it.
Exactly.
And the concept of it is pristine. I mean, the idea of using stem cells, which are natural to the body anyway, to help the body heal itself, it seems just the most natural possible solution to it.
I agree. Take us through the process. You went to Advanced Medical Solutions.
Yeah, your staff was great. They got me in within a couple of days. I wanted to get it done as quickly as I could. Very simple procedure. I went in. I had a double dose into the left hip.
Okay.
And a single dose into the left knee, because even though the knee has been showing up as being perfect on the x-rays, it still hurts a lot. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. But I will confess that the first shots hurt.
Okay. That was going to be my next question. Did it hurt at all?
But the pain is at a tolerable level. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Uh-huh.
And it was the relief after the first shots was so profound that it was more than well worth it. I mean, I didn't expect, from everything that I'd read, from the research that I'd read, I didn't really expect there to be a significant improvement for maybe 2 or 3 months afterwards. Give the stem cells the time to work and to relieve the inflammation and to heal the scar tissue and start regenerating the tissue. But it was like 1,000% better from the first step that I took off of the table.
That is awesome.
I was just amazed.
You were in bad shape. You were in bad shape.
I was hobbling.
Yes.
I was hobbling. It was to the point where if I had to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to tolerate the pain for the 6 steps to get to the bathroom.
Wow.
To be able to get there. Now, it's been, the more I walk on it, it tends to loosen up as I walk, but it had been that the initial standing up, I was questioning whether I would be able to stand up and be stable for at least a couple of minutes after I first got up.
So you say you felt 1,000% better as soon as you get off the table. I love that part.
It's miraculous. I don't have it's way above and beyond anything that I expected at this point in the treatment. It's been 2 months since the stem cell injections. I've had 2 enriched plasma injections.
Plasma, PRP.
Since then. And I'm at a point of walking almost normally.
That's awesome.
And I had developed a habit over the years of limping, but when I slow down a little bit and take my time to think about how I'm walking rather than the habit that I had developed, I can pretty much walk normally. I'm not to the point of being able to do it at a faster pace, but I understand I'll be continuing to do physical therapy on it to allow the muscles and tendons to stretch back to their normal positions and return to the normal functional positions that they would have been in had the injury not occurred.
That's awesome. So I know for most people, even myself, for all of us, really one of the biggest barriers for us getting this most innovative treatment done, there's somewhat of a financial barrier. It's not cheap. Our insurance doesn't cover this gold standard treatment. What allowed you to realize, you know what, I just got to get over this financial barrier? And then what are your feelings now about getting over that?
Well, honestly, for me, it wasn't a barrier. I've got a really good retirement, and it didn't seem to me to be that much of a cost to pay for it.
Okay.
But taking that a step further, it's like, really, what are your priorities? I mean, if you don't have your mobility, if you don't have ability to do the things that you want to do, what's the point of having anything else?
I understand.
I think
we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
That's a big discussion. And another part of that is the people around you. You know, when you're in such pain, you can't think about others. You can't think about your family. You can't think about your friends, your loved ones. You just can't do anything except think about that pain. And once you're able to get out of that pain, it's amazing what a different person you start to become.
Yeah. In addition to that, pain is exhausting.
True story.
It depletes your ability to be able to participate in things that you normally would be able to. I mean, I went up and visited my sister up in North Carolina recently, and she was absolutely amazed at how much better I'm walking. And
that's awesome.
I'm finding it's like I'm getting to the point where I don't have to think about the movement so much. The movements are becoming more natural. And this is only 2 months in.
2 months in.
I mean, I didn't expect to be at this level, if I ever got to this level, until significantly further along. I went into getting this treatment with the idea that I would not have felt that I had done everything that I should reasonably do to heal it before getting the surgery. If it didn't work and I finally had to get the surgery, okay, fine, but it wouldn't have felt right to settle for the surgery before trying this and see if it worked. And it's worked fabulously.
That's awesome. That's one of my rules. I try to stay away from future pacing myself and thinking, I don't want to say, well, what if I had tried? No what ifs.
Yeah, really. It's like I didn't want to try the surgery, and there's no guarantee that the surgery is going to work well either, and there's no guarantee that the surgery isn't going to have to be redone after 8 or 10 years or however long. And I've heard a lot of people saying that the surgery worked great for them, and I've heard a lot of other people saying that, it didn't provide the relief that they had expected it to. So the surgery is a crapshoot. There's no guarantee for anything medically, but
that's right.
Everything that I researched on the stem cell was showing something like a 90 to 95% success rate. Even if it wasn't able to restore full functioning, there was a significant improvement.
Yes.
And I knew that I'd be really happy with just a significant improvement. I mean, I don't expect to be in the next Olympics, but I'm really happy just to be able to walk without pain.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of the things, so you're about 2 months into it now, what are some of the things that you say you're already becoming, I guess, more clear and not having to focus on your walking and it's happening more naturally? Where do you see yourself, at this rate? So you continue to get better at this rate. Where do you see yourself? What are some of the things that you feel like you'll be able to do that you couldn't previously do or that you now want to do? Where do you see yourself, 3, 6 months, a year down the road?
Oh, I'm starting. I like to walk. I like to take my dogs out for walks. I'm starting to be able to increase the distance that I'm able to walk and without it hurting. I'm continuing with the physical therapy because I still don't have the range of motion that I need even to pedal a bicycle.
Okay.
I used to love to bicycle, and I haven't been able to because I couldn't raise the leg enough to cycle the pedals. It's almost there.
Awesome.
Again, it's not an instantaneous fix for everything. The muscles and tendons have been contracting to support the injury. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Over a long period of time. And
you're a smart man, Virgil. You get it. You understand how things work. I like that.
If I need to know something, I study it.
Cool.
It's interesting. We came in and I saw Virgil sitting over there. You see the Air Force hat, so he's proud. Virgil, thank you for your service to our country. Thank you for our freedom. All of us feel that way in here. We support you and the military very strongly. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for saying thank you. It was an honor to serve.
Awesome. And then you look at him and on one side he's got, a Harley transmission tucked under his arm, and on the other side he's got a alligator on a leash. And then you come in and sit down and hear him talk, and he's very intelligent. He's
gentle,
very smart,
intelligent monster.
Isn't he though?
Those are the dangerous types.
Yes, I wanted to ask how old he is because of the hat and the beard. I mean, he could be working undercover, and you not even he could take his hat off and shave his beard, and you wouldn't know who he was.
I'm 68.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're in good shape then. You're in real good shape.
I think I'm in probably better shape for my age than most, and the biggest thing that was holding me back was the hip.
That's awesome. So I see you. I see you going to another level in the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, yeah. I've always liked hiking, and I haven't really been able to do it, and I'm looking forward to being able to do that again.
Have you lost any weight yet?
No.
Okay.
I've lost weight since I retired.
Okay.
But I haven't really. I'm hanging about the same. But I expect that as I'm able to work out more, I'm starting to do water aerobics again, which is I'm pretty excited about. That's like my favorite exercise.
That's awesome. Where are you doing that at?
I'm over at an RV park here. They've got a nice pool.
That's awesome. Virgil looks like a strong guy, doesn't he? Looks like if he gets his hands on you.
No doubt.
Yeah. You got a big build. And I say that because once you get going and you're becoming more active, it happens all the time. Your metabolism will kick in with somebody like you who's got some nice meat, some nice muscle. Your metabolism will kick in and you'll keep losing that weight, and you'll love that.
Oh, the more you can do, the more it just happens naturally.
It's a very positive, free side effect.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's not a good thing for the body to be sedentary.
True story.
There is a saying that you hear in a lot of different venues, but it's like use it or lose it. And it doesn't just apply to muscle mass. It doesn't just apply to athletic ability. It's like if you just remain sedentary, then the muscles and the tendons contract to match the level of movement that you're giving them.
That's right.
And without doing at least the stretching to keep everything pliable, you just kind of contract into a ball.
Yep. I call it early, slow rigor mortis.
Ah.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, guys, it's a tough thing. And the very first job I had in healthcare was I went from nursing home, rehab facility to rehab facility, fitting splints and braces for contracted patients, okay? And that was, and when I first started doing it, I had to battle with, it was hard. These people are in pain, and what we were doing for them was putting them in more pain. But when you start to understand the hygiene issues that were taking place, and that although they had to go through a little bit of pain on the front end, in the long run, it was actually the best thing for them. So as you know, and everybody else, it's extremely painful when you start to lengthen and strengthen those ligaments, muscles, and tendons.
That's oftentimes why some people can't tolerate the physical therapy like you were able to in the beginning, because it irritates that degeneration. And, like you were saying, perhaps that physical therapy you were doing prepped that joint a little bit for the regenerative medicine to really take effect. And I love that awareness you had there, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I really think that's a big deal in it. It's sometimes the muscles and tendons are at a point where you're not able to easily get the stretches into them that you need to do by yourself. So the physical therapy is able to provide assisted stretching and range of motion exercises and assist you through that, where you can really make an enormous amount of progress with their assistance. I think that really helped quite a bit to prep for being able to get the stem cell shots and being able to progress with them.
Yeah, sometimes that physical therapy will actually make some areas, for people who can't tolerate it, it'll irritate it, and they'll think it's actually getting worse just because they can't tolerate that discomfort. And that's where we see with that regenerative medicine, and then adding that physical therapy on as well. Just imagine doing physical therapy without that intense pain. People are actually able to do it, and they feel better. So coupling all that together is phenomenal.
It's kind of like working out. There's a difference between pain that's doing damage to tissues and the pain that comes from reaching a certain level of exertion.
Yes.
Right. There's good pain and there's bad pain, and it's important to know the difference between them. And the stretching needs to be done gradually enough, and there's a little bit of pain in stretching it beyond where it's contracted to, but you just keep doing it, and the pain gets less, and the range of motion becomes more, and the difference between when something just hurts a little bit and it's tolerable, and something that's actually damaging.
Yeah, I agree. So I know you get phenomenal results there. You did a couple of the plasma treatments as some booster injections.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know you've done a little bit of rehab. You got a couple of those. Sometimes we use the deep blue rub and the CBD salve on the joints. Have you been using that at all?
I haven't been using that stuff so much.
Okay. Because you hadn't had to.
Haven't needed to so much.
That's awesome. That's
I
very good.
use it occasionally, but most of the time it doesn't hurt that much, or doesn't hurt at all. I wanted to add, I'm using the chiropractic.
Okay.
Forgive me, I forgot the gentleman's name.
Dr. Harrison.
Dr. Harrison is phenomenal.
Thank you. He is phenomenal. What a guy.
Well, the whole team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not to take anything away from Dr. Harrison, of course. That was his compliment. But the whole team's fantastic.
Yeah. I've been doing chiropractic for quite a long time, and he's he's got to be one of the best chiropractors I've ever worked with, and some of the things that he's doing, it's like no other chiropractor that I have employed previously has done, and it's really helping loosen up some of the particularly difficult areas to stretch. He was telling there are a couple of small muscles deep in the lower back that I've been trying to stretch them out for at least a year. And he's got something that he does to them where, like, I'm almost back to being able to touch the floor again.
Wow,
cool.
That's awesome.
Probably my ability to bend has increased. Like, instead of being 6 inches off the floor, I'm like 2 inches or 1.5 inches off the floor.
That's awesome.
And it just keeps getting better.
And that's what you want gradually to get there.
Flexibility. One of the most important things in preventing injuries is having the flexibility to be able to recover balance or to prevent falling. Or if you do fall, I haven't, but if you do fall, to be able to roll with the fall and not have muscles or tendons torn from being placed suddenly in a position that they're not able to tolerate. So the more flexibility you can develop, the less prone you are to losing balance or falling or injuries if you do.
Yes, you're getting better overall. The only bad news I have is that this is the fastest 30 minutes I've ever seen in my life.
Here we go.
So we're wrapping up. Virgil, if you have one thing to share with the tens of thousands of people listening right now, what would it be?
Do the research and set your priorities. I mean, what can be more important than your body being able to function properly? If if it's a choice between getting a nicer car or going on a vacation and getting the treatment, I'd get the treatment. You can always do that stuff later, and you can do it better and happier.
Cool. That's awesome, Virgil. It's awesome to have you, Dr. Scott. Thanks for having us this week.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.